All right, what's going on? I'm sure you were watching since you're a fan of Tsitsipas. He won yesterday against Fabbiano 6-1, 6-2, 6-4. It's an interesting match because I didn't think that this match was a 50-50 matchup, right? I think Tsitsipas is going to win this matchup, especially on grass, I don't know, 80% of the time, maybe more, it depends. So it's interesting to watch that sort of a style or that sort of a matchup because you can watch and see what Fabbiano is going to do against his someone who's better than him, and what Tsitsipas is going to do against someone who he's better than, right? Because I think a lot of times we expect these top players to sort of steamroll the guys who they're better than, right? And maybe hit a few more winners, play a little bit more relaxed style of tennis. And what's interesting and I think is really awesome about Tsitsipas and why he's going to be at some point really good is that he plays basically the same style, right? He's just better. He knows he's better, and so that's what the match is going to be. That's what he's going to do. So as I broke down the match, overall, Tsitsipas had, starting in zone A, right, the forehand outside edge of Fabbiano, Tsitsipas hit 3% of his shots to zone A, 32% to zone B, Fabbiano's inside forehand. So that's 35% of shots that Tsitsipas hit towards the Fabbiano forehand. 60% of his shots went to zone C overall, the inside half of Fabbiano's backhand. And 5% went to zone D, the outside edge of Fabbiano's backhand. So that means only 8% of Tsitsipas' shots land on the outside edges of the court. So 92% of the time he hits the ball, his intent is to go through the middle, right? So what that says to me is that Tsitsipas knows he could do a million different things against Fabbiano. But what makes the most sense, what's highest percentage for Tsitsipas, is to hit his heaviest ball as big as he can through the middle, right? If he misses long, okay, no worries. But there's no need to go towards the sidelines against a guy that you're better than because it's just unnecessary risk. What's really interesting about this match was points when Fabbiano had game point. Tsitsipas hit 72% of his shots to the zone C, the Fabbiano backhand, and 21% to zone B, the Fabbiano forehand, right? He didn't hit a single shot to the outside edge. Not a single shot to the outside edge. Because he knows, hey, if I lose this point, Fabbiano gets a game. I'm going to make him win this point against me straight up. And speaking of winners, this match, Tsitsipas had 2 winners. 2 winners. He hit 178 total shots. That means 1% of his shots went for a winner. 1% of shots that Tsitsipas hit were a winner. Now, if you don't know what I consider a winner, you can watch the other video where I explain it. But basically, a winner, in my opinion, is when you hit a shot past a ready opponent. Right? If you come in and you put away an easy volley, that's not a winner. Because the guy, of course it's going to be a winner, right? A winner has to be something where your opponent is ready, he's there, and you straight up hit it past him with an angle or spin or a drop shot or speed of ball, right? So only 2 shots that Tsitsipas hit went for a winner. Again, he knows he's better than Fabbiano. He knows he's going to win. So what he actually did was take less risk than he took 2 days ago against Donaldson, where it was more of a 50-50 matchup, right? Tsitsipas will play farther to the outside, taking a couple more chances against someone where he knows he needs to. Whereas when he's the favorite, he's just going to play basic tennis and beat you by weight of his ball and ability to just be out there and stay consistent with it, right? A surprising stat for me about this match, I expected Tsitsipas to make a ton of trips to the net, right? Because he could have his way and he's not really in any danger. But what actually happened is he went 9 for 11 when attacking the backhand of Fabbiano, right? So he won 81% of the points that had Fabbiano hitting a backhand pass. He won 83%, only 5 out of 6 points against the Fabbiano forehand. So that's not really that many times going to the net. That's 17 times in total, which is way fewer than the Donaldson match. But I think, again, what that really says to me is not that Tsitsipas doesn't want to go to the net, but that he knows, hey, I'm going to win these points as long as I'm not making errors, I'm going to win these points, whether it's from the baseline or from the net. So, of course, I'm going to build my game around getting to the net, but if I go to the net, maybe I'm giving Fabbiano an easy out to try and hit a pass and win the point just in one shot, right? So what's interesting is that he goes to the net still a lot, but he doesn't go all out. He doesn't go crazy and just test things out, right? He was 5 for 5, 100% of the time that he did serve and volley, he won the point, right? But again, he knows he's better, so there's no need to rush. There's no need to change his strategy and play maybe lower percentage or even change the percentages at all, because he's going to win anyway. Another really impressive part of Tsitsipas' game, and I've talked about this before, is his return, right? He doesn't get that much love about his ability for returning serve, but his return, he's so smart, right? He made 80% of returns yesterday. 80% of the time, he's in the point. 70% of those made returns go to the Fabbiano backhand. So he's starting the point always thinking, hey, get this to his backhand, I'll be in an advantage, right? That is crucial, right? So he's not out there returning thinking he's going to do anything other than get it to his backhand. So when you're returning serve, just think, man, hammer this to the backhand. Another really surprising thing, he only hit 3% of his returns aggressively. He won 6-1, 6-2, 6-4, and only hit 3% of his returns aggressively. That's discipline, and that's shot selection, right? If you want to talk about shot selection at the highest level of the game, it needs to happen in the first 3 or 4 shots, because that's all these points are lasting, right? Points are not really that long. Sometimes on the highlights, they seem like they're long, but the vast majority of shots or points are only 3 or 4 shots. That means you have to just make a couple good decisions in 4 seconds, and you'll be good, right? That's what Tsitsipas does unbelievably well. He knows before the point starts, obviously, what he's going to try to do, and he's great at executing that. And he doesn't ask himself for too much. He didn't hit one return where he hit it and tried to come to the net behind it. He doesn't, try to do really all that much other than start it to the Fabbiano backhand. It's simple and it's effective. Because Tsitsipas plays so much to zones B and C, what that really allows him to do is to be calm mentally and to think about when he's moving and playing these points. All he really has to think about is hitting the ball clean and hitting the ball heavy, right? So as he's on the run, he's not making a decision about where he's going to hit the ball. He's trained himself to go to zone C mostly, but maybe zone B to the forehand sometimes, right? 20% of the time. So all he's really doing is getting there, hitting that backhand clean, and just letting it go that way. And hey, if you can beat me with your backhand, great. And so far, he's gotten into the second week of Wimbledon because no one in the draw has been able to beat him with his backhand, right? And that's worth $1 million. That's worth being 35 in the world. It's not the winners that he hits. It's not the great volleys or the diving shots that he has. It's his ability to play high percentage tennis against his opponent's weakness, right? He hasn't really changed what side he thinks is the weaker side between Donaldson or Fabbiano. He's just going to play to the backhand. Playing 60 or 70% of your shots to zone C is so relaxing as a player because you don't really have to worry about anything else besides, man, get there, hammer this shot. Absolutely hammer it. Let it fly. You're on the run, get it to zone C. That's all he thinks about, and that is what keeps him so calm and focused on the court. He plays the same strategy with very minor differences depending on his opponent. He just played Fabbiano and only hit 2 winners. And he's better than Fabbiano. He's much better. And on grass, he could have hit more, but he chooses not to, right? That understanding of the odds and the percentages is what makes Tsitsipas the kind of player he is at only 19 years old. And that's what we could all take into our game. Hey, I can't rely on hitting winners. I can't rely on unforced errors by the other guy. So what is my best bet? If you can't survive inside of zone B and C and beat your opponent, you're going to be in trouble. But if your opponent can't survive against you and that's what you're doing to them, they're going to have no way out. And they're going to end up like Fabbiano, just hitting tons of unforced errors because he feels like there's nothing else to do, right? That's what you want your opponent to feel. So again, thank you for watching. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup with Isner. I think Tsitsipas is going to win. Actually, I think this is his time to break through. I think he's going to get it done. Let me know what y'all think. If you have any videos of you, or you want to talk to me about your matches or your practices or strategies that you can take, let me know in the comments, or find me on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook or anything. Get in touch with me. I love talking about it, and I want to talk to you about it more. And if you could like and share it and show it to somebody who you think needs to hear these strategies and these things, I would love that. The more people that can know this stuff and play like this, the better our sport is going to be. So thanks for watching again, and come back for after the Isner and Tsitsipas match. I'll have a breakdown then. Thanks.